Right, good evening everyone and welcome back to another episode of Thai Talk with Dan. Today we're going to share a story to let you guys know how these women, these Thai women, end up getting you falling in love with them, even though they're a 304 and they're on the game, but they can still make guys forget about that and start paying them a monthly salary and even marry them and even have children with them, believing that they're living happily ever after. This story will go to show all of you guys how they do it and how guys literally lose all common sense. So without further ado, let's jump in to today's Thailand story. Hi Dan, first off, I want to say thanks for your YouTube channel. I only came across it a few weeks ago while looking into Thai culture and the whole bar girl scene, but I've already gone through a lot of your videos. It's been genuinely helpful. So I thought I would share my own experience because I ended up in a situation that caught me completely off guard. I've seen and heard about most of the usual scams, but this one was on a different level and I only just managed to get out before it went too far. So, a bit about me first. I'm 31 now and first travelled to Thailand when I was 19, so I'm not new to the place. I've spent time in Pattaya before and understand how things work there. I was also married to a Filipina for 8 years. She was educated, genuine, and there were never any issues or scams. Unfortunately, she passed away suddenly, which obviously hit me hard. So I'd say I do know what a real relationship looks like. At the beginning of this year, I went back to Thailand. I spent some time in Bangkok, met a few girls, nothing unusual. Then I went to Pattaya to visit a German friend. I'm not really a fan of Pattaya, but I thought I'd go anyway. The day before arriving, I went on Thai Friendly and saw a 41-year-old Thai woman. She stood out immediately, very attractive, and I decided to message her. I was clear from the start that I wasn't looking for a relationship, just someone to spend time with, and that I would pay for her time. She replied quickly and asked me for 2,000 baht, which I agreed to. When I got to Pattaya, she came to my hotel and things started straight away. She was honestly one of the best I've ever been with, very relaxed, very natural and easy to be around. Within a couple of days, I was already hooked on her company. After just 2 days, I asked if she wanted to come with me to Phuket. I had planned to go there for a week, but we ended up staying together for about 5 weeks in total. Her story seemed believable. She said she was a single mum with 2 grown children, one working and one studying. She told me she had worked illegally in South Korea for about 10 years in a factory before being deported. She described her work and her life there in a lot of detail, which made it sound very convincing. The only thing that didn't quite add up was she chose Pattaya to live in, but I didn't think too much of it at the time. Before I left Thailand, I paid her 2,000 baht per day for the time that we spent together, which came to around 74,000 baht. I didn't try to negotiate it down. I felt it was fair for what I got. After that, she sent me a long message saying she loved me and didn't want me to leave. I didn't take it too seriously at first, but we stayed in contact after I went back to Germany because of COVID and a surgery I had. I ended up quite isolated for a few months, and she became the person I spoke to most. She never asked me for money during that time, which made her seem even more genuine. After about 6 weeks, she asked me directly if I loved her. I thought about it and convinced myself that I did, so I said yes. She started hinting about wanting to live with me, but also said if I wasn't serious, she would go back to Korea or try working in Dubai because her savings were running out. Looking back, that was pressure, just done in a subtle way. A few weeks later, I flew back to Thailand to see her again and figure out my feelings properly. That gave her the perfect opportunity to pull me in completely. Those 2 weeks were very romantic, and by the end of it, I was seriously thinking about marrying her and bringing her back with me. But during that trip, I checked her phone and saw she was still messaging other men, sending photos and asking for money with made-up stories. She was also still active on Thai Friendly. So I confronted her and tried to end things, but she broke down, cried, and convinced me she wasn't sure I would come back for her and that she would stop everything. Against my better judgment, I stayed. We even started preparing documents for marriage, and I paid for her to attend language school for a visa. On top of that, I started sending her 20,000 baht per month. Something still didn't feel right though. So in July, I created a fake profile on Thai Friendly and found her again. I messaged her, offering money to meet, and she agreed within seconds. She even sent me her address. That was the moment I knew for sure. When I confronted her, she denied everything until I showed her screenshots. Even then, she tried to downplay it. At that point, I should have ended it immediately, but I didn't. I was already too emotionally involved. Eventually, just before another trip in August, I finally snapped out of it, and I told her I was ending things. I still went to Thailand, met her one last time, and confirmed everything by checking her messages again. She had been actively looking for customers the whole time. So after that, I knew there was no going back. When I returned to Germany, I blocked her for a while. Later, I saw her full Facebook profile for the first time. It turned out she had been working in a massage shop in Korea, not a factory, and had been with many men. She had even posted pictures with money from customers. So basically, her entire backstory was a lie. Not long after I cut things off, she started working in a bar in Pattaya. She told me she was doing fine financially, so I know she's able to take care of herself. Looking back, I realise how obvious some of the signs were, but she avoided all the usual cliches. No sick buffalo, no emergency stories, nothing like that. She played it smart, built trust slowly, and made everything feel real. If I hadn't double-checked things, I probably would have married her and ended up in a very bad situation. Financially, I didn't lose a huge amount overall, but emotionally, it hit me hard. Still, it's a lesson learned. Hopefully, this helps someone else avoid making the same mistake. Best regards. Okay, so first off, I've got to give you credit for being honest about this, because a lot of guys would never admit how far they let something like this go. Now, this wasn't your typical scam. No sick buffaloes, no emergency hospitals, no my brother needs money. That's exactly why it worked. This woman did not rush you. She didn't pressure you early on. She played the long game, and that's where a lot of guys get caught out. When someone doesn't ask for money, you start thinking to yourself that they're different, more genuine, but in reality, she just had a better strategy, like most girls do now in 2026. Now, let's be honest, you caught her messaging other guys. You caught her still active on Thai Friendly. You even set up a fake profile and proved it to yourself. At that point, it's not about being fooled anymore. It's about choosing to ignore what's right in front of you because you have emotionally invested into that Thai woman. And that's the real danger in these situations. It's not just the Thai women, it's how quickly your mindset changes once feelings get involved in the situation, and that's why most guys lose their common sense. You literally went from this is just a bit of fun that you're paying for, then you went on to marriage, sending monthly money, sticking her on that all famous payroll, and planning a future with a 304. That's not something that's normal. Guys just seem to literally forget what these women are all about and what they do for a living. How the hell are you supposed to wife up a 304 that's working, turning tricks, making money from foreign guys? They don't care what you look like. They don't care what your personality is like, what your ethics are, what your morals, what your code of conduct's like. They don't care. They just care if you're going to be a paying short-term customer or a paying long-term customer. And even if you get married and you have kids, you can still end up being that long-term customer. But because of our Western mindset, we seem to believe that, wow, they've married us, they've had kids with us, so they must love us. But no, it just means her situation was that bad. She was willing to do whatever it takes in order to make a better life for herself. So we have to understand the difference between our lives in the West and what their lives are really like over there when they're working as a 304. And to be honest, when I lived in Isan, in Thailand, most of the guys that I knew, that I met, that I socialized with, they all had ex-bar girl, ex-freelancer wives or girlfriends and had been dragged from Pattaya or Phuket or some other tourist place back to their home village to build a house in Isan and try to live happily ever after. But again, in all honesty, most of these guys were depressed, and a lot of them were playing around with the bar girls also because they was fed up with the wives or girlfriends that they had chosen. But because they'd already invested heavily into their lives with these Thai women, they felt that they couldn't escape and they didn't want to lose everything that they had invested. It can be really, really sad when you really look into people's lives over there in Thailand. Now guys, I need to hear from you. I want to hear about your real story. You can stay anonymous. You don't have to show your face on camera. You don't have to give your name and details. All I ask is that you just be truthful with your stories and let go of your egos. And if you understand why you made mistakes or why you're still making mistakes, then let us know in your story and get them shared to thaitalkwithdan@gmail.com and I'll share them on the channel. Apart from that, guys, try to keep your common sense turned on. Be careful and don't be anyone's ATM. Take care and ciao for now. Bye bye.